Okay, it was about I took a box of this, and I'm having to walk and Xerox myself with no money and no place to stay. I finally got a place in Fairfax, Virginia, um, living on the floor really, where three college students lived. Okay, the few days after I moved in there, and I'm carrying my book and all these papers I have from a couple of them from the FBI and all of it proving I'd written the book and I had the book in there, copy of the book too. But anyway, this gentleman came in and his stepson had just moved out and I moved in. Only I'm sleeping on the floor and paying them rent and no food. um, anyway, he told me here's what he said when he came in and I thought, what do you mean? He said to me, and he said, how do you respond to this? He said, I thought I died and went to heaven. And then he started in. His stepson had just left, and I moved in right after he moved out, and he worked for CBS. Now I'd been taking the box of the book, the letter from FBI, etc., to LaSalle Street, ABC, and that was Sam Donaldson. And they would say he's out of town. And actually, the media never would touch this, hardly. They did take some of it. And come to find out, they already knew about my kidnapping before I did, and my real name. Anyway, this man that had worked for CBS, evidently he was blinded in one eye. And this is his stepson that just left and I moved in. He said that he had come from, so he had to have heard from the girls there that I'd moved in, and they probably already knew anyway. But he said that he had called his contacts down at ABC, and absolutely nothing was coming out of any of the networks about me. In other words, they weren't going to tell anything. He went on to say that um, he and I think this same stepson had gone up to, now I'm gonna, it's been so long, some of this that I've forgotten. Where is it the president goes up and camps? David? Okay. He said that him and a camera crew, he was a camera guy. He said he went up there, and I believe his stepson was one he took with him, and he said that they actually stood back and filmed the ground opening up. Now, he could be teasing me, but this man was, I think, scared to death also, all right? He really had worked for CBS. And he said that then, I don't know how his eye was put out, but something happened and he lost the sight in one eye. So I wanted to tell that about, and this was back when who was President Reagan. You know, they leave out all this about when they're dumping Trump. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing. I knew they would. Because it's the New World Order, the Illuminati that kidnapped me, Rockefellers, they got their name right up there, Rockefeller Center, Rockefeller this, the United Nation, all the things I told about that came to be by the Rockefellers, the Kennedys, the Rothschilds. When I was kidnapped, they took down my father. That's when the UN became the UN, an arm of this government. It's your global government without borders. So I guess really I'm going to stop here. I've put all this up, and now then they're finally, because some of the emails are being leaked about her connection and her beliefs to the New World Order. Well, she's a member. She's been, I don't know where people are. They don't want to hear it. She's been filmed where it's closed. It's at, I believe, the one I saw was at her home. And this meeting was going on with the New World Order, the Rockefellers, Rothschild, and it was closed. The press couldn't get in. Of course, they wouldn't print it anyway. Look at what they're doing. Um, why wouldn't they've told about me and my dad? If you care to look at my tapes and Facebook or anything I've put up, why wouldn't they have not told you? You think that's not news? Um, so I don't know. I guess the thing that I wasn't a biblical person. I'm Protestant, Church of England, and so you know, I may see God a different way. Maybe I'm right or wrong because of where I've been. I grew up when they kidnapped me near Huntsville, Alabama, and that's where NASA began. And they brought over Warner von Braun. And how do you think they got all these people over here, these scientists? You know, my ransom. But anyway, part of what I know has come about. I worked for the district attorney there too in 1980 after they'd almost killed me, and I did the book. Now, this is probably not going to go up, and I'm up early this morning. Somebody will start complaining that I'm up making noise and I'm being as quiet as I can, and I'm telling you something that the public, something you won't hear from the media. And it's one of the most important things if you listen to my tapes. I don't get any money from this. I've only gotten hell. Um, I said I wasn't a biblical person. I can't quote you like some people do and come up. Because when I was little, some of it didn't make sense to me, and I questioned it. And I think God, whoever He is, gave us a brain. And if He gets mad at us questioning Him, what does that say about Him? You know? I mean, it's ludicrous if you stop and think about it. But anyway, part of what's come to be, and this is after they kidnapped me and took down my dad. They kidnapped me in 41, age 2, and who I am. And I'm not even allowed to say that. I'm really in fear of my life being hauled off. It doesn't matter who I quote, how much evidence I have. I didn't do anything but tell the truth and be born, all right, if that's a crime. So if you look about the only other person, what's his name, Tex Mars, had written a book years ago that coincided with what I was telling about the chips, and they put them in root canals, and one of the doctors I worked for put it in a heart bypass, okay? And that's how I started, kind of began to find out, and you can control one's decision making. They don't even know it. So anyway, what it's moved into is exactly what it says in the Bible. In Revelations, the New World Order, one world government moves in, takes over, and there's no borders. It's open season. You have all these diseases, and like the Zika is one of them, the AIDS, and then they'll oh, what am I trying to say now? It's early in the book. What's the other one that's so bad that they took over to Africa? Did you ever stop and think about where the research went on to start these illnesses? I put it up there a long time ago, back in when I was doing the book. And it was connected. I'm not even going to go back there. It's done me no good, and I found out that people really hate me because they kidnapped me and brought me over here and colluded. There was collusion with my own government there, Elizabeth and her father, illegal George VI, who are high-ranking members of the Illuminati with the Rockefellers. He helped take down his own brother, Edward VIII, and kidnap me. How about that? I found out my real name in 83 from the Brits and the Germans. And yes, it's true. And I live in fear of saying my own name. I was brought over and given the name of Peggy Ann Dempsey, a twin that's dead, born out of wedlock. The twins were dropped off in this pigsty and lived under the thumb, taking care of her, really. Lina Dempsey killed her twins, a psychopath. And this came from a doctor saying she was. His words were, "How did you get surrounded by 3 psychopaths?" He said, "I've never seen that before." In his practice, number one, Lina Dempsey killed the twins where they took me, and I used to tell them when I was little, as bad as they beat me, I said, "You're not my mother. You are not my mother." And Anyway, I guess that's all I was going to say. That nobody really. Oh, back to, yeah, I can name his name, and I'm not going to. This doctor, that can be checked out easy. But he said the other psychopath was my husband, whose name was John Childers. Well, that too would prove itself. And then the other one was a doctor there, that there's a seal put on it that raped his patients, Dr. Victor Gonzalez. The last I heard, he was alive down there. He has a son that's a doctor named Victor Gonzalez Jr. There's a seal put on him, on a suit filed against him. What a joke, if you ever hear this, a sick joke. He has raped his patients. He has killed them, at least 2 that I tried to write about. One of them was a 12-year-old girl. He's a child psychiatrist. And at first, you can go back to the Kennedy. Well, Kennedy's helped kidnap me, but this Kennedy assassination, he was at Parkland in Dallas when Kennedy, he was interning when Kennedy was brought in, shot. Okay, you fast forward to Huntsville, Alabama, and Redstone Arsenal Command Center. He was in the Army there. And then you bounce him on up to Atlanta. And he was there working for Parkland. No, that Parkland's out. And it's a corporation now. They're huge. Parkwood in Atlanta. Used to be off Cliff Valley Way in Decatur, Georgia. So this is where that man, and I've put this up, and I've been in hell for telling the truth and trying to live. But this, I am going to tell this one again. I had a whole bunch of other videos, and I can't get back to those because someone got my phone that I thought was a friend. By the way, her last name was Queen, Angela Queen, that befriended me on Easter Eve. She took out my phone with all my photos and things over the years that I'd put up. But anyway, Gonzalez was sued, and there's a gag order on it. But he was the other psychopath this doctor had talked about, surrounded by 3 psychopaths. My husband, Lina Dempsey, who was not my mother. She killed her twins. And then this doctor, Gonzalez. But anyway, he was out at Cliff Valley Way. And I put up there about the 12-year-old, and it was an Eastern Airlines stewardess. And I can still see her. Oh, what I was going to say before this goes off is he was from Mexico, but he came over when he was 7 years old, and to Jessup, Louisiana. He went to Tulane, and his best buddy, his mentor, was, anyway, he ended up, Gonzalez did, look what he did to his mentor in college. He got his daughter Kathy up to Parkland, I'm getting it. Parkland's where, anyway, daughter up there, and let's put it this way. I don't know that he raped her, but hey, look at this. He got her up there as a therapist and this and that, and you should see what he did to her. Of course, as far as I know, that was, I don't know. You get into a gray area there. Did she do it? Did she do the things she did because, he became like a father figure to her, or what happened? Her father would like to know about it, I'm sure, about what Gonzalez did to his daughter.